how's it going there? Welcome to Uncomplicate by Freshworks. Today's guest is Vinay, who is the founder and CEO of Trust Radius. Hey Vinay, thanks for joining us.
Delighted to be here, Praveen.
Okay, awesome. So today's topic is something that's very critical. We all go after reviews, right? So we all get reviews, testimonials, but one thing with these reviews on, these review websites is, you cannot avoid the negative ones. There are people, who kind of write, shitty things. Sorry about the swearing, but, they write a lot of negative stuff saying, hey, this is not all right. Your salesperson wasn't all right. Your software wasn't intuitive and stuff like that. So, it's one thing to get reviews and it's one more thing to, kind of handle these negative ones. So Vinay is here to talk about how to handle these, negative reviews on review platforms. So Vinay, what have you got for us today?
Well, Praveen, I'd say there's a three-part strategy. One is to make sure that your social presence on review sites is not just dominated by a few negative outliers. You need to make sure that your reviews are representative of the whole picture of your whole customer base. So it's critical to reach an at-scale presence of hundreds of reviews, such that the one or two negative outliers look like outliers and not like the norm. And there are a lot of methods to help you drive reviews at scale. The second thing is to make sure the reviews tell your narrative. Most of the markets that we serve are competitive markets where there are multiple players in a market, and it's often really hard for the buyer to discern the differences between products. A lot of companies, frankly, tend to use the same marketing messages, and buyers tend to get a little bit cynical about those marketing messages as to their truth and veracity. So our approach is to help brands tell their story, tell their differentiation through their customer reviews. So in addition to asking standard questions around how are you using the product, what alternatives did you consider, what are the pros, what are the cons, what's your likelihood to recommend, we will work with a company to tell your competitive narrative. So for example, if Freshdesk delivers excellent customer service and has a really strong user interface, instead of hoping that people will talk about those things, let's guide them to talk about those things through a customized question. What that then leads us to be able to do is to highlight for the buyer the differences between products, and it also creates differentiation for you for those active buyers who are searching online and comparing your products. The other thing to think about is how to turn your content into a weapon. So as much as buyers are going online to research products themselves, let's face it, in the B2B world, salespeople and demand generation is still important. We're not living in a world like hotel booking, where people go online, decide their hotels based upon reviews and book without any assistance. So if you can arm your salespeople to use content in their channels, that could be creating sales collateral, battle cards, presentations, or pushing the content into some kind of sales library tool, make it easy for them to find the quotes that handle objections, that handle competitive situations. That way they can refute what may be a negative claim on a website. The other thing to think about is to acknowledge the feedback where it's present, to comment on reviews, and to actually route that commentary to your product management team. It may be an isolated instance, it may be an outlier, or there may be a consistent theme that should be addressed. We're living in a world where software is mostly SaaS and can be updated and changed on a regular basis. So reviews can be an enormously valuable listening post to give you insights and product feedback that you can act upon. And what we've learned in our research is that companies who not only listen to that commentary, but engage and tell the customer that they're hearing them ultimately win, because they're signaling to the market that they're a company that cares.
Awesome. I think I really like the part where you spoke about, guiding your customers to write the stuff that they, you want them to write, really make them talk about the advantages of your product, the service that you're offering. I think most of the marketers or companies fail to do that. They just assume that the customer is going to write about this. So I think it was really valuable insight, Vinay. Thanks for joining us for Uncomplicate, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Praveen.